Hey, good morning. This is Diary of a Coach, episode 267. 267, the very last diary in 2019. The very last diary of a coach in 2019. Woo! I'm beginning to fall in love. Fantastic. Yes, it's a beautiful rundown. We've had a fantastic year. And by the grace of God, today is the last day of 2019, and this is the last episode in 2019 before we turn over the book and close it. This is episode 267. My Lord, Aronke, I see you. Thank you for joining today's episode of Diary of a Coach. Today's episode is titled The Stones in 2020. The Stones in 2020. People will throw stones at you in 2020. I hope you know. And so this morning, I want to be a little bit more, play the devil's advocate. Say, while we are all high and hue about 2020, remember some people are predominantly negative. Some people are intentionally pessimistic. Some people are intentionally, let's use the word the way it is, wicked people. And in 2020, they will try to show up again and they will throw stones at you. So this morning, I want to share with you, how do you guard yourself? How do you protect yourself in 2020? How do you protect yourself in 2020? Mr. Isaac Abiodun, thank you so much. How do you protect yourself in 2020? Before I talk about that, let me talk about this consistency people are talking about. Because I believe that every one of us can be consistent about something that we want to do. So let me respond to these adulations about my consistency. I'm very grateful that it is encouraging many of you, and it's very possible too for you to do it. What makes me consistent is that when I decide to do something, I look for the time of the day that I know I can do it. Because it's very easy for you to be distracted. It's very easy for your hands to be full. It's very easy for things to get you off track. But I make sure that I look for a time of day when that time of day is the ginger by itself. For instance, every 10:45 p.m., I go for a brisk walk. That is the only time I can do it without interference. After Channels News every night, I can go for my brisk walk. That's the only time I cannot be distracted. This time of the day is when I can do Diary of a Coach. Because after 9 a.m., anything can happen. My schedule can be very crazy. And I can have a lot of interruptions. So when you want to be consistent about something, once you've determined what that something is, ask yourself, what time of day is the best fit such that I really don't have an option than to do this thing. I'm not distracted by anything. I'm not taken away by anything. I can do this thing. If you know power is your issue, then you choose a time when there is natural lights. If you know meetings will be an issue, then put a time when meetings hardly hold. That is how to set up yourself to succeed. You must set yourself up to succeed. So I like that many of you say I'm consistent, but I'm so sure that all of us can be consistent about anything if we want to do it. Just set up yourself to succeed. If you want me to help you with this, I can coach you on how to do it, but it is not free. So that is another angle. So let's go back to episode 267. Fantastic. So, how do you handle jabs, stones, insults, blackmail, lies, distractions? How do you handle them in 2020? How? Number one, grow capacity to ignore. There's what I call the button of ignore. Just press the ignore button. Many people, they are fighting themselves. It's not you that they are fighting. I've come to learn that when people are aggressively trying to bring you down. You are not the problem. Apparently, they have a deep-seated problem. They are fighting themselves. They have a crisis within themselves, and you have become the subject of their crisis. So one good thing to do is to ignore. Just, the way water falls on the back of a duck and it just and shake it off. Fantastic. So you need to shake off some people and ignore their antics, ignore their theatrics, ignore their frustrations. They are frustrated within themselves. In 2020, learn to ignore. Hey, with that, I always like your perspective. She says, committing to watching DOSC is a kind of training on consistency. This babe, the way you think. Then he says, that's the magic of consistency. It has worked for Business Digest. Fantastic. So, number one, ignore. Ignore the stone thrower in 2020. Ignore that gossip. Ignore that blackmailer. Ignore that backbiter. Ignore that snitch. Ignore that person that is a Trojan horse. Do you know what a Trojan horse is? They come to you friendly, but they have schemes, inferior motives. So they come close to you to hear. They hear couscous, kiss. They want to hear the 411. Then they are the minister of updates. They are the ones that update everybody about your current situation in life. Ignore those people. When they come asking questions, say, oh, everything is fine. Oh, really? No, but yesterday you said, yeah, everything has been fine. 24 hours is a long time for things to change. I'm doing well. Or I'd rather not talk about it. Don't give them updates. Ignore them in 2020. Number two, block them. Yeah, you heard me, right? Block them. BLOCK. Block them. The people that are throwing stones at you, if you find that you don't have the capacity to ignore, raise a wall, plaster the wall, block them. Because the more you accommodate toxicity, the more you're overwhelmed in toxicity. That's the rule of life. Have you heard that the place you are, the environment you inhabit, becomes your lifestyle? You cannot thrive in a toxic space. You cannot thrive in a toxic environment. You cannot thrive in a place where you are consistently being put down, you're consistently being depressed, you're consistently being suppressed, you're consistently being pressed down in a negative way. You cannot thrive in that environment. Faith Obafemi says, what if it is your spouse? How do you block? I'm coming to that. So number one is ignore. Just be looking at them like you go there, all right, last. Number two is block them. Number three is create a state in the state. That's number three. Create a state in the state. Do you know that it is possible to be in a toxic environment that you don't have control over, and then you live in that environment as though you are not there? Have you gone to a slum before and you see a beautiful house in a slum? An unusual. It is an abnormality. It's possible. So you can have a beautiful mansion in a slum. Ideally, the mansion should not be in the slum. But if the mansion is already in the slum, it is already there. Which means, ideally, if I live in a toxic marriage that is diminishing my mental health, I'm supposed to leave that marriage. I'm supposed to stay away. But having known that, well, I have limitation. I can't leave the marriage. I have factors. I have a job that the whole of my generation is dependent on my wage. So I can't just up and leave the job. Until I find another job, I have to stay in that job. I find myself in a team or in a contract or in a partnership that I just can't pull out because the consequences of pulling out is too grave. What should you do? Create a state in that state. It means, ask yourself, if this environment was what I wanted, what would I do ordinarily? Define those what would I do and create that state. Begin to think in that state, begin to behave in that state, begin to stick to that state. It means that it is borrowing from ignoring. You're going to behave as though you are the only person in that state, and the people in that state believe with you that you are in that state. It's a tougher route, but it is possible. I remember that there was a time when I was still young. We used to come home from vacation. When we came home from for holidays, we used to have vacation work. We used to work in the farm in Ashaka Cement then. So I used to be in a group of about 6 to 7 guys. We used to go and cut grasses, vacation jobs. They would pay us 2,000 naira every 14 days. It used to look like millions then. So I had these guys. They were quite vulgar, very raw. Everything was sexual. Every talk was sexual. We were teenagers, of course, so it was understandable. But one day, one Fulani chap, quiet guy, he said, we've been here for the last 2 weeks. He said, the only person that has not said a vulgar thing is this guy. I wasn't even looking at him. He was pointing at me. So my friend of blessed memory, Marcus, turned and said, oh, Sam, now you the guy they talk to. So I turned and he said, yes, that me. I have not said a single vulgar statement in all the while we have been working. It was feedback for me because I was not even conscious that I was not contributing to their talk. And it occurred to me that you can be in the midst of evil. You can be in the midst of a bad behavior. Even though it may in the long run affect you, you can create a state in that state. My first recommendation, don't stay in a toxic, destructive place. First recommendation. However, if you are unable to leave a destructive, toxic space, create a state in that state. In NLP, we are taught that everything is state dependent. Everything on earth is state dependent, which means it is the state of mind you create, the state of mental environment that you create that becomes your experience. So if you cannot live physically, you must live mentally. It is very, very important. That's number 3. Number 4, build capacity to respond. Build capacity to respond. I found out that one of the biggest problems in life is that people oppress us. They bully us into quietness, bully us into being suppressed. You need to build capacity to respond. Jim Rohn, the popular network marketing expert, said, life will not become easier. You have to become tougher. That was a powerful quote. Life will not become easier. It is you that should become tougher. What that means is that when you find that you're always subject to toxic people, you're always being thrown stones, guess what? Build your capacity to say, despite this stone, I will face what I want to do and do it. If you don't have capacity to focus on your focus, every stone they throw at you, you'll be looking for, who threw the stone? Who stoned me? I want stone back. Where the stone dey? Where is it? Who threw stones at me? Where is the stone? I would like to retaliate. You don't have all the time for that. Oh, who said what about me? Who is gossiping about me? What did they say? When did they say it? Who was there? How did that person respond to who said what? Do you really have that time? Hey, come on. Build capacity to respond. Learn to say, you know what, guys? Which is where I am right now. I've been there anyway for maybe more than a year now. I normally say, anything you've heard about me is correct. In fact, you've not even heard anything yet. That is capacity I've built to respond. So when people say, oh, Coach Sam, I heard something about you, I'll say, I don't want to hear it. Whatever you heard is correct. And the truth is, you've not even heard much about me. I met someone who said, Sam, you try, in this industry, you don't have any scandal. I've not heard anything about you. I said, you must be naive. You've not heard anything about me yet. I even tell them in advance, when you hear about me, you will run away. I've built capacity to respond. So all those times when I'll be like, why are they saying these things about me now? I'd like to send a message to the person or call the person. I say, no, but what that thing you heard is not true. I'm not happy. Keep saying. Keep talking. Keep hearing. Whatever you heard is correct. And in fact, what you've heard is less than what it is. There are bigger, more gross dimensions you've not heard. That when you hear, it will shake you. You'll be like, this guy, I beg, let me pack from him. Pack well. I know they see you. You have to build capacity to respond, because the people of the world will distract you from your goal just by talking. Everybody wants to say something about your life. Everybody has a say about your life because you have chosen to become a public figure. Let them say. You need to build capacity to respond. Then number 5, choose yourself first and always. 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 Every given time, the first sufferer or the first beneficiary of your action and inaction is you. It is you that will suffer from the negative vibes you have allowed to settle. And it is you that will benefit from the positive vibes you have allowed to settle. There is a saying that a ship on sea or an ocean never gets sunk in the ocean, despite sitting on the water. What makes the ship sink is when the water begins to seep into the ship. The moment water seeps into the ship and continues to enter the ship, it is just a matter of moments, microseconds. The ship will sink. So, you need to learn. Hey, what's this one? This is another stone. Oh, nonsense. Learn to choose yourself first and always. Protect your mind. Secure your mind. Shield yourself. Guard your heart with all diligence. Guard your heart with all diligence. Guard your heart with all diligence in 2020. Because from that heart is where the issues of life, the fountain of life, your creativity, your reinvention, your scalability, your resilience, your grit, everything we talked about in episode 266, that is where it comes from. From the bottom of your heart is going to be where they generate from after being processed by your brain. So you need to guard your heart with all diligence. Choose yourself first and always. Don't be apologetic about staying away from people that bring you down. When people put you in a place of second-guessing yourself, when people put you in a place where you feel like you're not enough, when anyone in any way suggests to you that you're not good enough, when anybody, whether by their body language, by their words and utterances, by their responses, by their feedback, by their behaviors, by their anything, if they by any means suggest to you that you are second to them, that you are not good enough, that you don't have the capacity, that you are wasting your time, that you are a waste, that you are useless, that you are not, whatever it is that you don't feel good about, guess what? Follow any of these 5 steps. But most importantly, choose yourself first. You come first in the eye of your Creator. In the eye of your Creator, we are equal. All of us were created using the same fabric, using the same process, using the same methodology. And God himself breathed into you the air you are breathing. If God himself is the one breathing life through you, no Jupiter on the surface of the earth is better than you in any way. And you need to understand that. Not just understand that, you need to believe it. Because some of you have been so battered mentally. You think that someone is faring better than you. That is a lie. It's a big lie. In reality, it's a lie. None of us is better than any of us. No one of us is better than anyone. It is a very pragmatic statement. It sounds like motivational talk. It's not motivational talk. It is reality. No one of us is better than any one of us. And you need to remember that. Choose yourself first and always. So in 2020, if you've not heard bad things about me, I think you're still very naive. You're still new to me. You need to go and hear more bad things about me. And have you heard it? Then you now tell yourself, I choose Coach Sam despite all. That is the only way you have emancipated yourself, not me. I am emancipated. And that's the way you should think. Let them hear everything about you. Let them know everything about you. Despite all of that, tell them, if you choose me, you have good taste. If you don't choose me, you have bad taste. And it's good. It's all okay not to be chosen. And it's still okay to be chosen. This is Diary of a Coach, episode 267. I wish you a happy new year. I wish you a happy new year. I wish you a happy new year from the OAC.